The Hitman Trilogy was released January 20th, 2022 from IO Interactive, the developer who had been producing these games the entire damn time, all the way back to 1998, and even on the same engine. The Glacier engine over time has had many significant upgrades made to it, but with the iteration of Hitman 3 specifically, IO Interactive made fantastic advancements, and Hitman as we know it has changed entirely from what it once was. What Hitman has always been is a stealth sandbox shooter. The player takes control of Agent 47, a ruthless killer who has no regard for human life for the most part. When it comes to Agent 47, he has changed over time, but most of all, the setting has changed significantly. Without a shadow of doubt, Hitman 3 is one of the best looking titles and one of the only next-gen feeling titles on consoles right now. It really is that damn good. The details right down to the puddles on the damn ground. Breathtaking. Actual breathtaking. No jokes, no sarcasm there. If Cyberpunk looked and played like this, it would be a fantastic game. This, on the other hand, does everything and then some. Whether you like a stealth approach or straight up just want to get right into the action, the game gives you the choice and allows you to do so, unlike so many other titles. And this one does it well.
You can hack that panel with a
Of course, to enjoy the game the most, you probably don't always want to play guns blazing. The experimentation factor is a big reason why I enjoy Hitman games so much. The fact that you can go in, clear out the place, and just kind of look around and see what the best method would be for your next run. It's a game that may at times hold your hand, but also it lets you run free. By that I mean there are some points in this game where your hand is held. You're being taken along for the ride, but at the same time, the game is so massively experimental in the way that you can do anything you want. You can change the environment to fit your needs, create distractions or death traps. Something you should try is just interacting with the NPCs here, because they're on a whole different level than most other games. Like, this feels like what it should have been for most of the sandbox titles that have come out. The crowds feel like crowds. You bump and interact with individuals. Passing by someone, Agent 47 will move his shoulder out of the way so he doesn't bump and bash his shoulders into other people. It's simply amazing, the density of the crowd as well. With the first iteration of the Hitman Trilogy reboot, I was rather unimpressed with the interactability of the crowds, but now they seem to have perfected their craft. IO Interactive certainly knows what they're doing, especially in regard of plant deformation of all things. Like, I can't believe it. Speaking of upgrades to the franchise overall, bullet hit detection is now that of Max Payne 3 or better.
Good work, 47. Ludmila Petrova has been permanently retired. 2 targets remaining.
Right, somebody help me!
As far as other improvements that are kind of skimmed over by other reviewers and gamers, it has to be the script for me, and not the story script either. I'm talking about the script behind the scenes where the NPCs are talking to each other. Immersing yourself into this environment feels a lot more likely than Absolution or Blood Money or any of the Hitman games for that matter. This one does what the others don't.
I never thought I'd see that happen. Keep your voice down.
Also, if you haven't noticed the physics up to this point, they're next level.
This is too risky. We got guards everywhere. This could get real messy.
This game has the most realistic bullet damage and falling physics I've ever seen. All of these elements coming together in a sandbox setting are setting up for a masterpiece. I mean a masterwork. This right here is the best Hitman there is in terms of gameplay. I would be more attached to the story if it wasn't so broad and expansive, but I don't think any story is required to enjoy a Hitman game. Obviously, from the gameplay before you, you don't have to approach this game in a stealth way, although it has a stealth label on it. That's just the preferred method that would get you a clean kill. How would Agent 47, under your hands, take out the CEO of a bank, some porn hustler, or some dope king? Like, literally, you are in the controls. You are 47. What is your method? How will you dispose of the bodies? This and that. These are the questions asked in a Hitman game, and they're all answered once you play it, once you invest your time in it. The Hitman Trilogy has more colorful characters and level designs than any sandbox shooter. I'll say that here and now. Let's get down to the facts. Let's get down to the brass tacks. Nobody does it better than IO Interactive when it comes to a stealth sandbox shooter. Now, I've shown the game through the lens of ruthless, loud violence, and this part of the game is more so how it's meant to be played, stealthily, with costumes, putting on the disguise, moving through the environment at your pace, not getting compromised.
Someone help me!
The three main factors that I think are required to make the Hitman formula perfected are player interactability, the ability to choose how you take out a target. That has always been there. Another prominent one is timing. The timing of the guards and their positions and patrols really matter here. And this character in particular, I didn't know where he was going to be. I didn't know what his path or method of moving around the map was. I didn't know if he was on some chain moving to and fro, point A to B. I just found him and I improvised. Which brings me to the third factor that creates a perfect Hitman quality experience, and that's luck. Sometimes you just are in the perfect place at the perfect time with the perfect tools to get the job done. Hitman can have both cinematic qualities and goofy qualities to it. I will say that sometimes it is a little outrageous to think that you could hit a man in the head with a fire extinguisher in the same room as 3 other people, and they won't hear it. But at the same time, we're not going for simulation here. We're not going for simulation. It's still got to be a fun game. And that's the key word of most of these reviews. If it's fun, I'm going to put that out there very much so. This game is not a slog. It's not slow. It feels like you're in control. It feels like you are doing meaningful things with this environment they've given you. Not only does the world of Hitman look better than it ever has, this game sounds fantastic. They really worked on making it sound like a Hitman game should. From bodies going into dumpsters, to door jams being forced open, to gunshots, to explosions, to water taps being overfilled and falling onto the ground. It's that game that touches on every detail I wish all sandbox shooters would. As of this recording, there is very little I would change with the Hitman franchise at this point. I think it's in a position that is totally supreme, and there's very little they could do apart from creating new maps, new characters, new targets, that would make the game better than it already is, because it's almost at the tippy top. It's almost a 10. Sadly, I can't get into the story. It's just too much across too many hours of games for me to invest my mind in. At the same time, I must say, They have created quite a scope here that is magnificent for a story-based stealth sandbox shooter. It is massive. It is filled with detail. The NPCs are far apart from every other game that I can think of for the most part. I think this should be the example moving forward. If people want better games, they should look at this one and say, what did they do here? They did great work. It's not just about shooting or the level of immersion. It's everything together, from the music to the way 47 works, to the animations, the UI, the level of content there actually is, the amount of levels, the amount of content within the levels, the side content, the challenges, the achievements. There's so many things I could say about Hitman that really, when we get down to the brass tacks, if you're not already playing the Hitman Trilogy, you must not be a fan. So let me introduce you to one of the best, if not the very best, sandbox shooters of all time. Hitman, the Trilogy.
Nolan Cassidy is down. Good work, 47. Janus awaits your attention.
Damn.
Where the hell is he? Gotta find him. Is that it? Ah.
Okay.